jarā-maraṇa-dharmeṣu sarva-bhāveṣu sarvadā tiṣṭhanti katame bhāvā jarā-maraṇaṃ vinā.
Jarā-maraṇa-dharmeṣu sarva-bhāveṣu sarvadā tiṣṭhanti katame bhāvā jarā-maraṇaṃ vinā. MMK chapter 7 verse 24. Where all beings at all times have aging and dying as their nature, which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? So it's really quite a rewarding thing to commune in this way with Nāgārjuna. He's kind of winking at us through the ages. He's saying something which he knows that Zazen practitioners of the future, well, not only Zazen practitioners, Christians, Jews, Muslims who practice being still will understand this as a kind of meditation on what being still is. And all the clever people with their PhDs in Buddhist studies and ontological experts like J. Garfield totally have missed the point, because they're not really interested in being still and knowing what can only be known by staying still, put it that way. So J. Garfield, see, this is a question. When Nāgārjuna asks a question that looks like a rhetorical question, it's always worth thinking, is it a rhetorical question with a conclusive, definite answer, or is it an invitation to explore what is not definite? And I would bet my bottom dollar that it's the latter in this case. So what J. Garfield translates, the usual Chinese whispers from the Tibetan, inasmuch as the nature of all things is aging and death, without aging and death, what existence can endure? And so he thinks that's a rhetorical question. So he states categorically, nothing exists in the way that it would have to in order to have endurance as part of its essence. Okay, so that's what it means. That's what it would mean if it were an ontological discussion. If the opponent's interested in ontology and Nāgārjuna is interested in setting him right about what is and what isn't, about what would have to exist in a certain way in order to have endurance as part of its essence. It's an ontological discussion. But what Nāgārjuna is pointing to is he's asking the question, which beings are there? So bhāvā, nominative plural, masculine, means, so originally bhāvā means existence, but here it's plural. So Garfield translates existence, so E-X-I-S-T-E-N-T-S, existence. But sometimes it's true that in Nāgārjuna's usage, bhāvā means an existing thing, an existent thing, and an existing thing, an existent. But bhāvā also means a being, a living being. So the same word can express something like a stone, which is an existent thing, or it can also express a happening, a being, a living being. So obviously for a being, in order to be a living being, it can't be something like a stone. It has to be a happening. So the question is, which beings are there? Katame bhāvā. So bhāvā, nominative plural masculine. Before ye, the visarga is dropped. So bhāvā bhāvā, long A with visarga is dropped to bhāvā, and katame, nominative plural masculine, which, or which of many, which among many. So that's the question, which among many beings are there that tiṣṭhanti, third person plural of star, third person singular of star, to stay still, or in Garfield's translation, endure. So what existence can endure is, it's literally enough of katame, bhāvā, tiṣṭhanti. What existence can endure? That's the ontological understanding. The real question is, which beings are there that stay still? Ye, which are jarā-maraṇaṃ vinā. Vinā, without, it takes the accusative, so jarā-maraṇaṃ is accusative. Jarā, aging, maraṇaṃ, marana, dying. Which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? Well, the answer to that question, I would suggest, is Alexander teachers, Alexander students who really practice coming to quiet. Not just giving lip service to it, but really give up everything that has to be given up in order to come back to quiet. Which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? Zen practitioners might be included in that, but not. It might be difficult if the concept they're following is sitting upright in the right posture, trying to make right posture into something like a stone. But whatever Zen practitioner there is who totally gives up the egotistical human arrogance of effecting a right posture, then that might be a Zen practitioner who can be still and know that I am God. Trying to sit in the right posture is trying to make yourself into a God. If I actually go really back to when I was 23, that's how Nishijima Sensei humiliated me in public in a way that I found really distressing, because I was making my effort to be enlightened following his teaching, which was to pull the chin and make the neck bone straight vertically. And that was trying to make myself like a god. But I was doing it by following his teaching. And so then I asked a stupid question in a Zazen lecture on a Saturday afternoon. And he went off on a little rant and said, this is very comical. Some people try to make themselves like gods. We should be human beings, not gods, which was true. But it was such an unskillful response to my question. It was like he was trying to program a computer that was malfunctioning. It was so lacking in wisdom and compassion. When I think back on it, what a lousy teacher he was, because I'd gone wrong following his teaching. In a way, it was very much like, I was hearing on the radio the other day, these nuns that had been sexually abused by priests in the Catholic Church. And so those bastard, hypocritical, cowardly, had taught the nuns when they're age 16 to be obedient servants, to keep quiet and just be obedient, and then they'd rape them. How low can you get? How further away from the the teaching of the Old Testament to be still and know that I am God. So that's how far back my resentment goes, because I was so upset, I was so distressed to be humiliated like that. Didn't do me any good, except for it gave me strong motivation. Being disrespected is a strong motivator. I got the teacher that I deserved, actually. Which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? Tiṣṭhanti katame bhāvā ye jarā-maraṇaṃ vinā. Tiṣṭhanti, they stay still. Katame, which among many, bhāvā, beings, ye, who, jarā-maraṇaṃ vinā, without aging and dying. Tiṣṭhanti katame bhāvā ye jarā-maraṇaṃ vinā. Which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? That's the question. That really stay still. We go back to the first line, which sets the question up. Where all beings, sarva-bhāveṣu, locative plural. Sarva, all, bhāveṣu, bhāvā, beings, again, or existent things, but in this case, beings. Jarā-maraṇa-dharmeṣu, locative plural, masculine, agreeing with sarva-bhāveṣu. So, infinito composito, at the end of a compound, dharman means nature, quality, characteristic mark, attribute. So jarā-maraṇa-dharmeṣu means having as their characteristic mark, having as their nature, jarā, aging, maraṇa, dying. And sarvadā means at all times. So, jarā-maraṇa-dharmeṣu, sarva-bhāveṣu, sarvadā, where all beings at all times have aging and dying as their nature. So, the irony there is that what has aging and dying as its nature are stones, things like stones. So the horses out in the field have aging and dying as their nature insofar as we conceive of them as things like stones. Insofar as they're empty happenings happening out there, they're anirodham anutpadam, beyond cessation, beyond arising. So, understood like that, the first line is where non-emptiness prevails, where the opponent's worldview prevails. In other words, where everybody's deluded, where the blind are leading the blind. On university campuses, where people think Jay Garfield's stuff is worth studying. That's where all beings at all times have aging and dying as their nature. In that situation, which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? So, on that university campus, is there an Alexander technique teacher who knows the score? Is there a cricketer, a batsman, like Don Bradman, you know, who seem to have so much time, because that the people who know staying still, ironically, that they have the time to act very quickly in sport. Those are people who also know staying still. Maybe you think of Tom Brady. I think, well, see, that in the sort of the athletic criteria that they use for making the draft, I think he was like number 346 out of 346 quarterbacks that ever did the athletic tests. Yet the most successful quarterback in Super Bowl history, because he has that ability to stay still when all madness is going on around him, and stay still and spot the pass to Edelman down the centre when the time is right. Which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? So staying still, it's got a spiritual side to do with not being desperate to get things for yourself, but, you know, has a spiritual side of submitting to a higher power. But that kind of aspect is there in playing for a team as well, actually. Dropping off one's own body and mind because one's more interested in one's teammates, or the higher goal of playing for the team. And there again, staying still, as I was guided to understand by my Alexander Technique head of training, Ray Evans, staying still is a vestibular function. So Ray, in fact, was quite a spiritual person. He liked in particular Yoga Nandi, the Indian mystic. So Ray was a believer in God as well as an explorer of neurophysiological truths, like the truth of the vestibular system, and as well as being devoted to the Alexander Technique. So these are all questions to explore. Which beings are there that stay still? How important is the vestibular system in being still and knowing that I'm God? How important is thinking, which is a cut above reliance on the vestibular system? So, generally speaking, yes-no questions, as my Zen teacher Nishijima Sensei pointed out to me in connection with chapter 72, Zammai or Zammai. Is sitting a somersault? Is it a state of vigorous activity? Is it vertical? Is it horizontal? Is it doing? Is it non-doing? So the answer to those yes-no questions is invariably no. It's not that. It's in the direction of abandoning all views, sarva-drishti prahanaya. And if it's a question like this, katame, which of many, which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? Probably the safe answer is, I don't know. So that's. I hope I'm not trying to big myself up by putting Jay Garfield down, but the real fault in his attitude and the attitude of all these other academics who get their salary for being definite and right is that attitude of being definite and right, as if they're the ones who know. In fact, what they know is false. So again, Jay Garfield says, assertively, he asserts nothing exists in the way that it would have to in order to have endurance as part of its essence. So in that case, Jay, you mean that the Buddha does not exist in the way he would have to in order to have endurance as part of his essence. But I would suggest that the truth that falsifies your assertion is that the Buddha, the teaching of the Buddha, what the Buddha taught is, as said in the dedicatory verses, he taught pratitya samutpadam prapanchopashamam shivam. He taught the happiness which is dependent arising and the cessation of spinning things into self-existence. And because that teaching is true, and we're still exploring it now, he does have endurance as part of his essence. Not that he has an essence, but the Buddha said that, what did he say at the end of his life? That he would remain in the lessons of the universe. And that's what we're still studying now. We're exploring now. What does it mean to stay still? What does it mean in a world where all beings at all times have aging and dying as their nature? Which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying? These last two verses we've been studying today are not ontological discussions. They're not rhetorical questions that point to an ontological truth. They're like meditations. They're like golden nuggets that have been lying there in the desert for hundreds of years, and nobody's bothered to pick them up because nobody's seen them as anything other than dusty ontological discussions. Jarā-maraṇa-dharmeṣu sarva-bhāveṣu sarvadā tiṣṭhanti katame bhāvā jarā-maraṇaṃ vinā. Where all beings at all times have aging and dying as their nature, which beings are there that stay still without aging and dying?
jarā-maraṇa-dharmeṣu sarva-bhāveṣu sarvadā tiṣṭhanti katame bhāvā jarā-maraṇaṃ vinā.